Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to our Learn from the Leaders webinar on Wellesley Public Schools, winner of the Grand Cleaning Award for schools and universities in the K-12 category. We are very excited that you can all join us and hope you enjoy this webinar. My name is Sherry Solomon, and I am the Green Clean Program Representative at Healthy Schools Campaign, which is the organization that is hosting the webinar today. Before we get started, let's quickly review some basics for today's webinar. Today's webinar will run for approximately 1 hour, and the recording will be available to view after today. We'll email a link to the recording, and we will also archive it in the Green Clean Schools website by the end of the week. Also, at the end of the webinar, if you could take a minute to complete a quick survey about the webinar, we would truly appreciate it. We'll save about 10 to 15 minutes at the end of the webinar for a Q&A session with our speakers. You can ask questions by typing a question in the question box that's located on the control panel and click the send button. Please feel free to send your questions throughout the presentation, and we will gather those to address during the Q&A at the end of the session. In addition, we will also be providing polls throughout the webinar as I introduce each of our panelists. And I encourage you to please participate and share your information there so we can get a better sense of what our audience is and what sort of information they may be seeking. I also want to clarify that Healthy Schools Campaign does not endorse specific cleaning technologies or manufacturers. The intention of this webinar is to present the technologies that Wellesley has selected. Now, a little bit about our Healthy Schools Campaign and our Green Clean Schools program. At Healthy Schools Campaign, we recognize the importance of providing students and staff with the opportunity to learn and work in a place that is healthy and safe. HSC is based on the simple and common sense notion that healthy students are better learners and that the health and wellness should be incorporated into every aspect of the student's experience. We advocate for policies and practices that support student health and student wellness. We will also build on the capacity of our districts, schools, and communities so that the change is meaningful and sustainable. At Healthy Schools Campaign, we recognize the importance of providing students and staff with the opportunity to learn and work in a place that is healthy and safe. We recognize how schools are built and maintained contribute to a positive setting for learning and working. We recognize that an institution's approach to cleaning says a lot about how they value students and staff, the communities they are located in, the planet, and their sense of connectedness to the broader good and future generations. At Healthy Schools Campaign, we believe that green cleaning helps students stay healthy and learn, that it protects the health of custodial staff, increases the lifespan of facilities, preserves the environment, and ensures fiscal responsibility. Cleaning for health without harming the environment is the green way, and it is the system that sees continuous improvement. That's why we work hard to make sure that schools are doing innovative and engaging things with their Green Clean program and recognized for their important work. The Green Cleaning Award, presented by the Healthy Schools Campaign, American School and University Magazine, and the Green Clean Network, awards schools with innovative, health-focused, and environmentally minded cleaning programs, judging criteria that are based on our 5 steps to green cleaning in schools. This webinar takes a closer look at the elements of the Green Cleaning Award winner for this year's Grand Cleaning Awards in the K-12 category. We have an amazing lineup of speakers for you today. We will first have Michael Andersen present. Michael Andersen is the Custodial Service Manager for the Wellesley Facilities Management Department. So Mike will be followed by Tony Vassiliadis. Tony is the Custodial Supervisor for Wellesley High School. And Jeff Johnson is the Director of Marketing and Product Management for Orbio Technologies. Mike will be first presenting an overview of the Wellesley Public School and their award-winning cleaning program, and then we'll highlight 2 core components of Wellesley's program, the principles of team cleaning and on-site generation technology. So without further ado, let me introduce our first speaker, Mike Andersen, and we will also run our first poll. Michael has been working in the industry for 8 years. He began as a custodian and has worked his way up to custodial service manager, a role he has held for almost 3 years in 2 different school districts. Mike is always researching new products and techniques that fit into his school district's green cleaning program and striving to make the schools cleaner, healthier, and safer. With his guidance, Wellesley Public Schools won the Grand Cleaning Award for schools and universities in the K-12 category. And with that, I will pass it off to Michael.
Thank you, Sherry. So I'm going to first start off by telling you a little bit about the town of Wellesley. Next slide, please. The town of Wellesley is a town just outside of Boston in Massachusetts. We have 7 elementary schools, a middle school, a high school, and a preschool. In total, we have over 5,000 students. All of the buildings in town are managed by the Wellesley Facilities Management Department, who I work for. This includes the schools. Our green cleaning program started in about 2012 when the FMD was first created, the Facilities Management Department. Sustainability is a part of our mission statement and has been from the formation of the department. We're always looking to use green products, equipment, and practices, and also we focus on energy conservation. Next slide, please. So why did we start our green cleaning program? Well, when the FMD started, we had some certain goals we were trying to meet. These include safety and health for both staff and students. We wanted to improve our custodial services from the level they were at. This involved, being more efficient, maximizing cleaning time, trying to accomplish more with what we had already in place. We were also looking to increase our facility lifespans, and we wanted to focus on sustainability as well as energy conservation. With all these things in mind, a successful green cleaning program, we realized, could help us reach all of these goals. Next slide, please. So how we went about implementing our program. So at first we started researching and purchasing greener chemicals, greener equipment, things to help us along the way. Another thing we did was implement team cleaning at our high school and our middle school. We'll talk more about that later. We started training for all our staff on new chemicals, new equipment, new techniques, new procedures. We also worked with school staff, parents, and students, trying to keep everybody informed and involved in our green cleaning program. As the program started to go on, we would monitor and assess the results we were achieving with every change that we made to our program. And even still through today, we continue to research because green cleaning is always evolving. We're looking at new technologies, techniques, strategies, and equipment. Next slide, please. Starting with our green cleaning chemicals. So from the beginning of the FMD, we've evolved over time. At first, we were mixing our own chemicals from concentrated gallon jugs into mop buckets, trying to get the right ratio that it says on the bottle. It wasn't the greenest thing, and it wasn't the most productive thing either. From there, we moved to this packet system that you see there in the middle. These were concentrated chemicals in packets that would just dissolve in the right set amount of bucket of water. From there, we moved on to portion control, which is very common you see today, where it's concentrated chemicals in bottles that gets portioned out with water through, usually at the custodial sink. Water flows through the bottle and puts the correct amount of chemical either in a spray bottle or a mop bucket. But we've even taken one step beyond that, where we continued to research and we found something called on-site generation, where we were able to produce our own cleaning chemicals on-site using a system. The green aspects of on-site generation match our green cleaning goals of our department. Next slide, please. So on-site generation, what it does is it eliminates a lot of factors that go into the chemical manufacturing process, leading all the way to the chemicals being delivered and used at our facilities. So there's less smokestack particulates when it's manufactured. There's less CO2 emissions because the chemicals aren't being shipped anymore. We have a lot less inventory control, so it's a lot safer. The chemicals aren't sitting around stacking up in certain places, aging, having to be thrown out if they're not used. The cleaning staff is not exposed to concentrated chemicals anymore, so that's safer. There's less chemical residues around from these things leaking from storage, things like that, so slip, trips, and falls are lowered, as well as odors. And then packaging disposal. We don't have the packaging that chemicals come in, so there's less, we're filling the landfills with less waste. Next slide, please. So now that we knew we wanted this on-site generation, we had to advocate for it. So we pushed for funding, basically by saying this will help us achieve our sustainability goals, as well as a lot of other goals. You know, it's a very green chemicals, very green system, and safe for all staff and children in the schools. And beyond that, we will save money over time. We will eventually recover our investment in these systems by not having to buy chemicals anymore, or most chemicals anymore. So we actually started with a pilot system at our high school, just to test it out and see how it would go. And it went very well. We had great cleaning results as those were monitored, and the custodians approved of the system and the chemicals and had success with it. So because of the success of this pilot and the buy-in we got from our staff, we invested these systems in all of our schools. So the system we invested in is called the Orbio OS3. And with this system, we generate 2 different chemicals that make up about 90% of the cleaners that we need. We have a multi-surface cleaner and a disinfectant sanitizer. Next slide, please. The multi-surface we use on floors, hard surfaces. It's just a general cleaner that we use on most things. It's colorless, it's odorless, and it doesn't have VOCs. It's also non-irritating to skin and eyes. And then our sanitizer, it has a slight pool smell to it. So it's got a little bit of a chlorine smell to it, which is something people associate with clean, which helps. But it's pH neutral, and it's also good for food contact and non-irritating to skin as well. Next slide, please. So beyond those 2 products, we also have some specialty products in our green cleaning program. One of the items is microfiber cloths. So microfiber cloths are an upgrade for cleaning over the standard cotton cloths you might have. They act kind of like a scraper when they lift and they trap dirt when you use them, and moisture as well, and the nooks and crannies of the fibers themselves. So they actually pick the stuff up instead of just pushing it around like a cloth fiber would normally do. We're also able to get them in different colors, so we can color code them for the use in our facility. So one we will use on glass, blue for instance, red we might use on countertops, green we might use on bathroom fixtures, etc. But they're also machine washable, so we get many uses out of the same rags over and over again. Another aspect of our green cleaning program are our walk-off mats. So the item that we use, they're called Waterhog Eco Premier mats. So they're made from 100% post-consumer recycled drink bottles and 15% post-consumer recycled tires for the edges of the mats. Now, a reason these are important for a cleaning program is because properly functioning mats can trap up to 80% of dirt and moisture at the entrance that people are coming in, instead of tracking it all throughout the building. Most of it gets trapped right when they walk in, and it lowers the cleaning load for the staff each day. Next slide, please. We've also invested in a fair amount of green cleaning equipment. One of the main things that we've invested in are backpack vacuums with HEPA filters. So we have tried to stop dust mopping as much as possible, because dust mopping really just pushes the dust around, and you're never really sucking it all up. So the vacuums do a great job of really containing all dust and dirt, and so we use those as much as possible in our program. We've also actually started to use a few go-free, they're wireless backpack vacuums, which are great for doing stairs or quicker jobs without needing to plug in a cord all over the place. Another piece of equipment that we started to use are floor machines that have onboard NanoClean technology. So this is similar to the Orbio in a way where we just have to fill these machines with water, and there's onboard technology that then transforms that water into a cleaning solution. So with these machines, we typically also get the orbital scrubbing head on the machines, because we're able to then do scrub and recoats in our schools instead of always having to completely strip floor finish off our floors. We're able to just take a few coats off and put a few coats on. Another piece of equipment that we use is called the Kaivac no-touch cleaning system. So this is great in our bathrooms. On this piece of equipment, we have a sprayer that sprays the chemical on the walls, the fixtures, everything like that. Then you can switch it to work as a power washer. We're able to spray everything down with the power washer. And then there's also an onboard wet vac. So we're able to suck everything up after we scrub and wipe everything down. Next slide, please. training is also a key part of our program. So we need more than just investing in the products and the equipment. We have to actually show everybody how to use these items. So every time we get a new piece of equipment, we also provide a training demo. So the custodian's properly trained on the piece of equipment and know how to use it, when to use it, what to use it for. Also, when we invest in new products, we give out a full set of instructions on how to use each chemical and where to use each chemical, what the right application is for that chemical. Another aspect of our training is quarterly professional development meetings. So every quarter we have a meeting with the whole department and we go over certain aspects of our program, but also just general training. Some topics include different safety aspects, cleaning techniques, awareness on the job, ergonomics, some minor maintenance skills. And we also take these meetings as a time to go over our program and any updates that may be happening. Next slide, please. These are a couple examples of our training. So on the left, you see a training of an Orbio system that happens to be in that closet over there. So they're getting hands-on training on how to use the system. And on the right is an example of the information we give about chemicals, where to use them, how to use them, etc. Next slide, please. So another aspect of our green cleaning program is a building control system. So the one we have is called Metasys. So this is a district-wide building automation system. So this mainly tracks our HVAC systems in all of our buildings. So we can remotely track and gather data on certain items such as temperature, ventilation, and equipment functionality. We're able to remotely adjust temperature set points. We're able to include night setbacks and vacation periods where we can lower the load of the system. So therefore, we can minimize the heating and cooling loads to save energy. Also, some aspects of the system in a few buildings have lighting controls. We're able to set up energy efficient schedules. Next slide, please. On the left, you see an example of a map of an area of our high school, and that's how it would look on the Metasys system. So you're able to see a temperature reading for each individual room. And then on the right is an example of what you'd see if you clicked on one of those rooms. That's the system. So there you would be able to make adjustments to, you could do the set point of temperature or airflow in certain areas, things like that. Next slide, please. Recycling has become a very big part of our program. This is where the school staff and parents and students are more involved. So right before the FMD took over, we started a single stream recycling program in every school, which is still going today. So every school has that in place. A newer addition is during our lunch programs. So in the elementary schools, they started a liquid waste diversion program. So when the children finish their lunch, when they go to throw away their trash, they now pour out any remaining liquids they have into buckets that are set aside. And then they're able to recycle their cartons that are now empty. At the end of the lunch, the custodians then pour out these buckets down the drain. So that liquid is diverted away from the trash and down the drain. We've also started using recyclable food trays that are easily cleaned off, and then they can be recycled. And we've also started food recovery, where prepackaged unused foods are stored in a share cooler that are used on a weekly basis, but then anything left over at the end of the week is then donated. Also, our food service program, any prepared food that does not get served gets stored in a freezer and donated at the end of the week. Next slide, please. On the left, you see signage for the kids as to what can be recycled, so that it's just reminders, but it's become a daily thing for them. In the middle there, you see an example of where they would pour out their liquids into those buckets, and then those are emptied out at the end of the lunch. And on the right is an example of a freezer where the food is stored before it's donated at the end of the week. Next slide, please. So implementing the program wasn't always easy. Some of the difficulties included getting people to buy into it. So that includes trying to get investment into new equipment and the new chemicals like the Orbio that we invested in, the on-site generation. Another difficulty was trying to train some seasoned custodians and get them to change their ways and to buy into these new methods. Some other difficulties include, frequent training and updating. If we keep changing things as we have been, it's a little difficult to stay current with chemicals and equipment and techniques. You just have to stay on top of things. So every time we do a change, there's new training, and that does sometimes cause confusion over what people should be using, what type of chemical we should use for a certain thing, because we have changed it so often. Next slide, please. We've found many, many benefits with our program. Most importantly, our goals are being met. We have improved health and safety efforts. Our custodians, school staff, and students are no longer exposed to harsh chemicals. Our air quality is improved through the building management system. Our custodial services have improved. They're more efficient with the team cleaning, the new equipment, the training on what chemicals to use, things like that. And our sustainability and energy conservation efforts have greatly improved. We're generating the majority of our cleaning chemicals on site. Our building management systems creating HVAC schedules and lighting schedules. And then our recycling programs have really helped out a lot. It's taken 6 years to get to where we are today, and we're still always looking for ways to improve. So moving on from here, we're going to highlight next slide, please, sorry. Moving on from here, we're going to highlight 2 key aspects of our program. Tony's going to talk about team cleaning, and then we're going to talk about on-site generation after that. I'm going to pass it back to you, Sherry.
Great. Thanks so much, Michael. That was very helpful. Appreciate it, sharing everything with us about your program. Before we move on to Tony, I just want to give him a quick introduction. And we will run our second poll as well. Tony Vassiliadis is the custodial supervisor at Wellesley High School and is the district's resident team cleaning expert. Tony has been working in the Wellesley Public Schools for over 6 years. He was a custodian when team cleaning was first implemented at the high school and has worked his way up to now running the program as the custodial supervisor at the high school. Tony has experience working in the team cleaning system and running a crew of custodians to clean the 280,000 square foot facility every day. So before I pass it on to Tony, our poll, do you use team cleaning in your green cleaning program? And it looks like 29% say yes, 29% say they're working on it, which is great, and 43% not applicable because we have some folks that are not directly from a school system on the line. So with that, I will toss it over to Tony.
All right, thank you for having me. So what is team cleaning? It's loosely based on like the way a landscaping crew works when they show up at a house or property. Each employee has a specific piece of equipment and assignment until the job is done, in landscaping, the mowing, the weed whacking, the leaf blowing, and then eventually the cleanup. Why not clean the same way? Here we're all trained to do each function equally in the same. So like the bathrooms will all get done the same by every employee, the hallways, stairwells, trash, and the vacuuming. It's all done the same. We also rotate the assignments weekly. We started out every 2 weeks, and it just seemed to be too long. And you get to get through the whole building and learn the building better and not forget your areas that you got to get done. So we found out 1 week is more beneficial. Next slide, please. The benefits of team cleaning is we have more efficient use of our time. I'll get into that a little bit more later. Less total equipment needed. We only need 4 or 5 vacuums compared to 9 or 8. You take more pride in your ownership over the whole building. You don't have that. It's not just my section mentality, and you become more familiar with all the techniques, equipment, and building tasks, and it can allow for changes in coverage when we're short-staffed. Next slide, please. One of the biggest challenges was getting the guys to buy in from getting buy-in from the employees. Because a lot of them were stuck in their old school mentality. They've been, doing the job for so long. They don't really like change, but eventually, they got it, they like it, and they support it. We also had to get the school staff and student engagement. It's still a little tough at times, but it's working. That way we get their support to operate efficiently. We altering the program to fit our building and staffing levels took a little time. We had a help from a vendor citing the workload and time constraints and all that. Let's see. So next slide, please. So Wellesley High opened in 2012, I believe, as Mike said. It is 280,000 square feet. That's a lot of square feet. In our high school, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of after-school programs, music lessons. I can count 13 music lessons, private music lessons, that they occupy certain rooms of the building. There's always athletics. Athletics is huge in Wellesley. A lot of staff stays late. We have a lot of banquets for athletics certain times of year. There's concerts and plays, and we get the occasional rental during the week at night, which we have to work around as well. That's why team cleaning works very well, because you're not stuck in one section. You get to kind of jump around because we figured out those areas are being occupied. Next slide, please. Excuse me. At the beginning of we wanted to implement team cleaning, a memo was sent out to the principals and the superintendent asking for their support. And we also asked help from the students and staff to increase our efficiency, little things by putting up chairs in the classrooms at the end of the day. We ask the teachers if they can pick up larger items off the floor, so because our vacuums can't lift them up, and it's just it's nice when they do that for us. We also, each classroom consists of one trash and one recycle barrel per room, right by the door. To the right, you'll see a memorandum that's tough to read, but that was what was sent out. And next slide, please. How we made it fit. First, we started with a program based on square footage for assignments. And we worked with a vendor who analyzed the building and layout. We have used our current staffing levels to help determine the assignments. And we had to monitor our clean time runs. So with all those events going on, we had to adjust because it was taking too long to get certain areas done. So we, the team cleaning aspect, we moved areas, the people out of the area where it's going to be occupied, and then they, circle around back to it at the end when they're done occupying that area. So that works very well. And we made all the assignments equal based on time. Next slide, please. You'll see here the assignments, 1 through 5. So we have, I'll start with assignment 1. That is doing all the trash in the building and being on call with the radio, and then also with the announcements over the speakers. So I do all the trash in all the classrooms, every room in the building, and whenever they need assistance, they get hold of me, as I'm the most flexible. We'll jump to bathrooms. They clean and stock all the gang bathrooms and the faculty bathrooms. We use the kayak when possible, at least once a week, which is definitely needed. It helps keep those bathrooms looking good longer than if we just did not do it. We dust and vacuum ceiling vents in the bathrooms 1 to 2 times per week. But with those backpack bags, you'll see less dust entering those vents because there's less dust to go up those vents. Hallways, we typically remove all the scuff marks off the ground. We sweep the hallways. We machine wash the first floor halls nightly, and the second, third, and fourth halls rotating, but we spot mop the other halls that were not washed that evening. And we try to buff the second and third floor on a rotating basis, so 1 floor a day. As for the first floor, we cannot buff. And then we have one person doing stairs. They dust the stairway rails and ledges 1 to 2 times a week. They vacuum all the stairs and entryways. And if there's a spill or anything, we have a new mop made by Rubbermaid that works very well on the stairs. Clean the stairwell and entry glass as needed. Next slide, please. So this is this is the layout kind of the first, second, third, fourth floor of the high school. And this is a assignment. It's called Back 3, and that's the assignment where you'll see the circles on the 3rd floor and the 4th floor. So those are the areas where this assignment will, and the gym, and these are the areas that employee will be going through to vacuum, sweep the gym. It's quite a large area, square footage wise, to do with those 3 areas. But you'll see how he jumps, or she jumps, from 3rd to 4th, or 4th to 3rd, and then finally ending up in the gym, as athletics is always their latest. And they'll sweep the gym and pick it up as best as needed. And lastly, they always hit the locker rooms. That's the last section of the building that gets cleaned, because, like I said, athletics runs late in Wellesley at the high school. Next slide, please. So in my opinion, when I started in 2012, right when it started kicking in the team cleaning, and before that, it was very tough to keep this building clean as good as we can now, and especially because of all the functions going on at the school, you're always running into an obstacle. Now we have it down to a science where we're avoiding them, they're avoiding us, and we're getting the job done better and more efficiently. And it's been running like this since 2018, and it's a good thing. And I think that concludes my presentation, Sherry.
Great. Thank you so much, Tony. I'd now like to introduce our 3rd speaker as we run our 3rd poll. Jeff Johnson is the Director of Marketing and Product Management with Orbio Technologies, a Tennant company group. Jeff has been central to the development of on-site generation technology at the heart of Orbio 5000 SC and the OS3. He has worked extensively with leaders in the cleaning industry to promote the improved health and safety, simplified cleaning, lower costs to clean, and increase sustainability of switching from conventional packaging daily use chemicals to cleaning and disinfecting products created on-site using OSG. Jeff has 20 years of product development and management experience in the cleaning industry as part of Tennant Company, and a total of nearly 30 years experience in marketing, product development, and research in the US and Europe. He holds ICE and ICEGB certifications in accordance with ISSA/CIMS standards. And before we throw it out to Jeff, poll number 3, are you using on-site generation technologies at your education facility? And we have 18% say yes regularly, 18% we are, but we want to use more, and 64% no. So with that, Jeff.
Thank you, Sherry, and good afternoon, everyone. In the next few slides, I'll provide a brief overview of OSG, or on-site generation. including some details on how the technologies work and items that someone considering OSG should be thinking about. Thank you. OSG is a newer category in Jansen, but it's gaining considerable popularity, particularly amongst those groups like Mike's at Wellesley's that are on their green journey. They value cleaning and they want to leverage the latest in technology. Next slide, please. Many on the call may be thinking, hey, I already have a green cleaning program for my cleaning chemicals. If you're in education, like Wellesley, chances are you've already replaced your traditional chemicals with some green cleaning products or green cleaning chemicals. They don't contain phosphates, they are concentrated to reduce packaging waste, and they probably don't have a fragrance. They're probably GS37 certified. This is great, you're well on your journey. However, OSG or on-site generation of those chemicals on-site goes beyond this. Next slide, please. By generating these simple cleaning solutions on-site, you can also eliminate much of the ordering, shipping, inventorying, as well as packaging of these chemicals. That's going to significantly reduce your environmental footprint, as well as simplify your process, and in most applications, reduce your cost. And this was shown by Mike in a couple of previous slides as well. Next slide, please. How does OSG technology work? There's two primary technologies. Below is a graphic of EAW, or electrically activated water. This technology uses water electrolysis to create both a cleaning solution as well as a sanitizing and or disinfecting solution. Water, or H2O, as well as a very small amount of salt, or NaCl, sodium chloride, enters a water electrolysis cell. The bonds are broken, and these are then recombined to form a cleaner, sodium hydroxide, or NaOH, as well as a sanitizing or disinfecting solution, HOCl, or hypochlorous acid. Different manufacturers have different strengths of these solutions as an output, as well as shelf life claims and also antimicrobial claims. So you have to consult the manufacturers directly for some of these details. Next slide, please. Another technology used in OSG is liquified ozone, or O3. Relatively simple devices utilize water as a medium to deliver the ozone, or the OS, or the O3, to the surface that's being cleaned or being sanitized. Typically, a method called corona discharge is used to transform stable O2 molecules into O3. Now, the O3 has an extra oxygen molecule that looks for a soil, looks for a bacteria to attach itself to. When it attaches to those surfaces, it oxidizes it, and the molecule returns back to a stable O2. Some manufacturers also attach a stabilization module or a filter ahead of the incoming water. This filtration increases the shelf life of the O3 that's in solution, as it's seen here. Next slide, please. Now, implementing OSG does require some changes in your process, as Mike outlined. At a very high level, you'll be generating your own cleaning solutions on site. So there'll be a process change in how the concentrates or the RTU solutions are distributed or diluted throughout the campus, district, or your specific site. Another change to consider is that your chemicals today are likely ordered on an expense budget. Acquiring OSG technology, if it's not rented or leased, will require these funds to come from a capital budget. Next slide, please. Now, implementing OSG is relatively simple, and many of the suppliers will use a similar outline as shown here. We'll probably start with a survey of where and how much chemical is dispensed today. It gives a pretty good understanding of where the number of generators and dispensers are needed throughout the site. The cost of these generators and dispensers can be compared to the cost of the replaced chemicals purchased today to obtain an ROI for the OSG system. We also find that nearly every customer wants to test the cleaning performance of the OSG solutions before purchasing. Most OSG solutions are stable enough so that you can have these solutions shipped out for trial or evaluation before the purchase of any of this equipment. Lastly, the manufacturers will work with the site to put together a rollout plan. That's going to include the installation and the startup of the equipment, as well as the training of the supervisors, training of the staff, so that they're comfortable in use of the new equipment and the new system. Next slide, please. Lastly, some questions that should be asked of suppliers of the OSG systems during evaluation of different suppliers are actually here. I won't go through each and every one of these, but I'll add a few comments that we've learned. Number one, as this new system does produce your primary cleaning solutions, partnering with the manufacturer with their own robust installation, service, and training teams will provide the best chance for success. Secondly, as you're protecting human health, you want to ensure that you ask your manufacturers for an organism efficacy summary and compare those claims to your current disinfectants that you're using today, or ensure that on the list of organisms you make sure that you're protecting those organisms that you have in your requirements. Number three, ensure that you know the ongoing costs or the running costs of the OSG devices that you have. Some wear components are present in some of these devices, and you'll be responsible for those ongoing costs. So that should be included in your ROI. And lastly, ensure that you know what the shelf life of the solutions are and that this will be working in your application. Some solutions last for hours, other solutions last for weeks or even months. That concludes the presentation on OSG. Thanks for the opportunity to share this information on this growing category. Thank you.
Great. Thanks so much, Jeff. Appreciate it. All right, so we are now at the Q&A portion of the webinar. We do have a couple of questions that have already come in. Please feel free to throw in any other questions you may have. So this question is for Tony, and perhaps Mike could follow up on it. What were a couple of the major challenges that you had to overcome with your staff when you moved from zone cleaning to team cleaning?
It was just the basic mentality of, you know, I've been doing it this way for so long. They didn't want change, but they understood it was happening, and, you know, they went with it. Once they started doing it, learning it, it's part of their daily routine. They would never even think about going back to a section type cleaning.
I think a lot is just trying to show them what the benefits are, because they might not think about that. They just think about what they're used to, and just getting them to actually change is difficult. But if you can show them what the benefits are, then it's easier.
Thank you. There's a follow-up question to that. Do you assign your staff to a specific assignment and keep them there, or do you switch it around on occasion? And if you do, how often?
We have all different assignments, and they rotate down the list, you know, once a week. So one person will do assignment 1 for the week. The next day, he'll say go to assignment 2. The week after 3, and, you know, and so on. Everyone's going around in a rotation, so, you know, if they have it.
There's a whiteboard. It's all listed out, so that way they know what their assignment is for the following week, and so on and so on.
And what's the benefit of switching it weekly?
You know, you want to get to know the building better, especially for new hires. And, you know, you don't want to be, some people get stuck, you know, in their head. It's so mundane. It's you know, doing the same thing for 2-3 weeks. You know, they get kind of, you know, not sick of it, but they want to do other things.
Exactly. And we also set it up in a way where there's 4 different vacuuming assignments. So it kind of rotates where you'll do hallways and then you do a vacuuming assignment. And then you'll do stairs and you'll do a vacuuming assignment. And then you'll do bathrooms and you'll do a vacuuming assignment. So it kind of just mixes it up.
Great, thank you. Okay, another question we have. How many full-time staff and part-time staff are employed at Wellesley?
At night, there's 9.
It's either 8 or 9,
8
depending
or
on
9
the day.
at night, and then 3 during the day hours.
I imagine that's for Wellesley High School, you're
Yep.
referencing.
Yeah, that's just the high school. Overall, our department, so let's see how many, in the schools we have 40.5 custodians in the schools in total.
Great, thank you. Question for Mike. How often are you cleaning your entrance mats, and what's the process for that?
So they get vacuumed daily, usually with an upright vacuum, so it has a beater bar in it, or there's an attachment for our backpacks that also has a beater bar for it. And they get machine washed usually once a week, sometimes more often in the winter with the salt that we have to deal with up here in Massachusetts.
Makes sense. For Mike and Tony, how do you cover, I guess more for Mike, how do you cover for custodians that are out on either planned or unplanned leave for absence?
So with the team cleaning, we do it in a way with that first person that's on call and doing trash. They'll then make up for whatever section is easiest for them to make up for. They won't be able to do a full clean in that section, but then everyone else they do some trash in their areas. So the building doesn't get the full clean that it would with the full staff, but we're able to accommodate missing staff just by changing the assignments in that role a little bit. And it's all spelled out before everybody goes up they have a meeting before they go to clean the building every day. So everything's spelled out for everybody.
And that really only, that not full cleaning, you typically, when we're below 7 or 7 and below, and we try not to schedule 3 big people on vacation a day or even 2, but eventually it happens, but we work around it.
Great, thanks. Okay, question for Jeff. Jeff, what sort of challenges have you identified from your clients when they're trying to implement on-site generation technology?
The one that comes to mind, Sherry, probably is the fact that we're replacing chemicals that typically have a fragrance or a color, and many of the OSG solutions that are used today are colorless. All are colorless, I believe. Some have a slight chlorine odor. So there is the perception by operators who have to implement the system that these are just water. So we go through different demonstration techniques to ensure that those folks that have been using chemicals that a certain color or a certain smell their entire career, that they are indeed not cleaning with water. So we do different, as I said, different demonstration techniques to show how it emulsifies oil, how it works on fingerprints, so on and so forth, to just ensure that they know that their solutions are efficacious, they work well, and that they're not asking them to work harder, but they are in fact very potent chemicals, just don't have a smell or a color.
Very interesting. Okay, back to Mike. Do you use anything as an odor eater in locker rooms?
I'm sorry.
Yes, we have an enzyme product that we use. It's still part of a dispenser system. But yeah, the enzyme really helps with the odor, and it breaks down different protein material. Also, the other thing is the disinfectant that we use that comes from our on-site generation does have that slight chlorine smell to it, which also helps with that odor.
You still there, Sherry?
Hello?
Yep, I'm here. Thank you very much. Back question to Mike and Tony as far as the success of the two core components of your program that we've highlighted. Were you able to look at absentee rates at all, or any sort of comparisons with health related to the implementation of those two components of your program?
We don't have any specific data on that, but we do work with the school nurses and keep them updated on everything we're doing. And if they ever notice a spike or anything like that, we always try to ramp up some of our disinfecting for touch surfaces and things like that. But we don't have any specific data pertaining to that.
Very good. It's a team approach, and the nurse is obviously a key component of that. So good to hear that you're working with them. All right. I don't think we have any other questions as of now, so let's go ahead and move to our introduction. Thank you for attending this webinar, and a special thanks to all of our sponsors listed here. Just a reminder, a recording of this webinar will be available on our website and email to all attendees. You may also get to meet Mike Andersen and hear even more about his award-winning program at Wellesley and the Grand Valley State University, which is our award-winning program in the University College category, at our Green Cleaning Awards Green Schools Education track at ISSA on October 29th and 30th. And so here you will find a link to where you can learn more about the event, include how to register for our event, and our website, greencleanschools.org, under events will provide all that information. So please mark your calendars. We would love to see you in Dallas, Texas at the end of October for our Green Clean Schools Education track at the big ISSA show this year. And with that, I will thank our presenters and our sponsors again and wish you all a great day.